Well, good morning and welcome to Sunday Morning Coffee with Dr. Childress here, and Mr. Pippin's joined us. Today, I'm going to be just sort of meandering through my world. Uh, there's been a lot of chaos in my life. So starting with the APA convention, which kind of was a lot of falderall and kind of blew my life apart. I had to put clients on hold and pretty much everything on hold for like a week or so there for the APA convention. And then when I come back, I have all my clients and I'm getting back up to speed with that sort of thing and things that got put off for a week. And then no sooner than that happened, well, at the APA convention, I ran into a road hazard and blew out the back end of my car. So my car was in the shop getting fixed all week, which for a Southern California boy is very disturbing to not have a car. But in Seattle, where I am, I can walk to everything, which is really weird. So it's a disturbing week to be without the car, but everything was okay. Then yesterday, my internet entirely shut down. So I didn't have internet for the day. Today, I wake up and my screen on my laptop is broken. So I don't have a computer. So no internet, no computer, no car. Got all this work to do. I'm in the middle of a forensic custody evaluation. It's like 100 pages long. These things are like 100 pages. Are you kidding me? And I got to go get a computer and so hello and welcome to Sunday Coffee with Dr. Childress. So what I'm doing here is I'm just checking in on Sunday to maintain the rhythm. And so let me just talk about that for a second, just rhythms. That's really important for change and for organization, for everything. When I'm doing therapy with a little guy, 3 to 5 kind of range, and they're all disorganized and they're bouncing around ADHD spectrum, autism spectrum kind of stuff. The first thing to do is to establish a rhythm because they're so disorganized. And the initial rhythm is just a beat, just boom. And that's what Sunday Coffee with Dr. Childress is. I'm just establishing a beat here. And then the next one is a turn-taking rhythm. Boom, 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 and you get the beat into a turn-taking rhythm. And then in the turn-taking rhythm, you can begin to kind of syncopate it and establish other variations. So rhythms are very important. And rhythms in change is how we do things. That's called habits, getting into habits about things. So back in my younger days, my young mad lad days of being a gym rat kind of person, I would always go to the gym, but I would make myself go, even if I didn't want to go, with the permission that I didn't have to do anything. Once I got there, if I didn't want to do anything, I could just go home and didn't have to work out. But I would not make that decision sitting at home. I had to go make the decision there and come back. Because once you start saying, not tonight or not today, then all of a sudden you start doing that a lot. If you get in the habit of just going, just doing it, get that rhythm going, then guess what? When I get there, I'd say, I'll do a little bit. I'll figure this out. And so you just establish that rhythm. So that's what Sunday Coffees with Dr. Childress is about. It's establishing a rhythm on YouTube, producing content on YouTube, and just getting a dialogue or getting information to parents who are struggling with the pathology. And one of the things I'm planning to do with these YouTubes is I'm reverse engineering books. Okay. Everybody thinks Flatlander. I'm an internet psychologist. I'm like one of the first. I use the internet as a intervention thing, and I love all the different aspects that are coming into our world. And one of them is, back in the old days, Gutenberg would have his printing press and they'd have to set the type and print out books, one at a time and move them physically location. We don't need to do that anymore. And right now, what's happening is you get these books written and then they get read by somebody who turns it into an audiobook. Well, I'm going the reverse direction. I'm starting with the audio visual book, which is kind of nice, of the YouTube. the presentations because I can. It's easy. They let me. So do a YouTube presentation, put up information, and then the AI generates a little transcript of that. Well, now I've hired somebody to go back to all my YouTubes and pull off the transcripts, and we're going to organize those into chapters of books, articles, various things. And so I'm reversing the book process. I'm starting with the audiovisual book and going to the print process. In addition, publishing houses used to be a thing because you had to print up the books and put them in locations, bookstores, and people had to go get the physical book. We don't need to do that anymore. Amazon is print on demand, and you don't have to go to Barnes and Noble bookstore. You just go to Amazon and get the book, and they send it to you in like next day. And so there's really no value in publishers at this point, unless they market the book, in which case they'd have to see that there's money value in the author. Otherwise, they just put up a book, take a percentage, and yay, you've been published by them. And so I don't currently take that approach because I don't see a point, given my position, everything, to get a publisher involved and give them part of the proceeds. It's all my money, and you people are buying my books. It's a small market. And it also lets me develop, let's see, where is it? All these booklet things. Okay. So I can, I want a booklet. I just make a booklet. And I'm going to be making a booklet, which is very interesting. So with this forensic custody evaluations, I've been doing reviews of forensics custody evaluations for like 7-8 years now. Each time they're getting better and better. Each time it's like an additional edit on the thing. I do a lot of cut and paste because they say the same thing, so I say the same thing. It's the same issues every time. And so I've been developing my approach to how to do that. Initially, I tried to do overall analysis. That didn't work. The stupidity and nonsense is too dense. So now I'm doing line by line through a 50-page, sometimes 100-page. My longest, I think, was about 120-page forensic custody evaluation. I'm going through it line by line, and that's a disorganized mess. Just to let you know, in clinical psychology, the longest report is 25 pages. Okay, so I'd want to get, for the most complicated autistic psychoeducational assessment, that's going to be about a 25-page report. 30, not so much, 25. For most of the time, I'd like to, get it around 20 for a psychoed assessment for most assessments. For interns who are doing initial diagnostic assessments, they're expected to have a diagnosis at the end of their first 90-minute interview that for both insurance purposes and Department of Mental Health billing and all sorts of things. The intern will have a diagnosis at the end of 90 minutes. Now, it may be provisional, it may have rule-outs on it, but then the intern will send me their intake information. Now, for an intake report, which I ask my interns and postdocs to do on the people coming into the clinic, an intake report would be about 6 to 10 pages. And that's, pretty extensive given the whole background of the family, 6 to 10 pages. So when I'm looking at these 50 pages, 100-page forensic custody evaluations, yikes, cowabunga. And they're very structured. They always do the same thing every time. So I always say the same thing every time. They audio record the interview sessions. Then they send it out for a transcript, get the transcript back, and then simply report on the transcript with no clinical analysis. So that's how a clinical psych report is going to get down to 25 pages or even 6 to 10 pages, is because there's a lot of clinical analysis of the information. We're not just a tape recorder. And seriously, I can get a high school student to do a forensic custody evaluation. I really could. And so I'd like to debate that with a forensic psychologist someday as to whether a high school student could do a forensic custody evaluation. First off, the testing is nonsense. And I've got an article from Simon and Garber and Simon, that 2018 says the testing in custody evaluations is nonsense, the testing with adults. There's other testing they could do, but I'm not going to tell them because they just need to go away. But they could be doing the Roberts personality inventory for children, pick 2, the Roberts 2. But give two reasonable testing. So, but the MMPI, the Rorschach, all that kind of testing is a waste of time. That's what the forensic psychologists say. And yet they do that. And it's computer scored for the most part, and they have various other questionnaires they sometimes add in. A high school student can do that. They can administer just the MMPI, send it in, and get a computer score of that and report the scores. There's no interpretation. There's no integration. There's nothing. So they could do that. And that's the most advanced element. The rest, they just audio tape it, get a transcript, report on the transcript, and then make an opinion. That's it. And apply no knowledge. They don't have to apply knowledge. So anyway, what I've been doing is going through line by line. They say the same thing. I say the same thing. These are the issues. And I've streamlined it recently. Used to be a big project. I used to bill a lot of money for a line by line of a custody evaluation because they're like 50, 100 pages and they're very time involved. But we need to be bringing costs down in the family courts. So I'm trying to bring my cost, instead of making money off of you, I'm trying to make less money off of you. Because that's what we all should be doing. We should be trying to bring the costs down here. So I no longer have a high end. I used to have high, medium, and low. It's just medium and low now for me because I'm trying to streamline that custody evaluation process into, get this, a catalog of concerns. They say the same thing. I say the same thing. So I now have a catalog of things I say. And on the current custody evaluation, I'm up to 16 of them. But they're the same. They're cut and paste. The attachment, pathology, family systems, differential diagnosis, risk assessment, various aspects. And when I go through a custody evaluation now, I just start to apply those and create a catalog of concerns for that particular custody evaluation, plus a line by line where they generated them. And then I can produce a little summary analysis report on that based on all of this stuff. Because I'm going up against the forensic psychologists and they're a powerful group of people. Now, one long story, old guy rambling, one of the issues about being able to self-publish, I considered having my own publishing house, which I kind of like. I'm like Ben Franklin in the back pouring out like books and pamphlets. But one of the benefits of having my own publishing house is that now I can publish a booklet for a catalog of concerns. And so I've got my assistant starting to work with that as well, forming up a booklet or book, depending upon how long it gets, but of just all the standard catalog of concerns that are raised with forensic custody evaluation. That allows the forensic custody evaluators to then prepare themselves for all the critiques of their work so they don't wind up running into ethical violations and failure and duty to protect and competence issues and a number of things that are in the catalog of concerns. So I've got that to do. I've got the clients to do, which I got several cases coming up here. September's coming up. I'll have the first week of the month consults on that. So I'll be doing that. And then reverse engineering books and all sorts of things. Oh, by the way, I have a life, which is, a lot of stuff going on. In the middle of all of that, my car goes down for a week in the shop, and I lose the internet for a day, which is very disturbing to me. And now my computer's broken, my laptop that I use every day. And it's like, oh, geez Louise. So I'm going to take this Sunday. I'm going to run out and get a laptop and bring it up to speed and download my files and get everything back, and then jump into another custody evaluation, then jump into another testimony situation, and just like get back on my emails and see if I can stop the swirling chaos around me. To large measure, it feels like I'm just kind of in the middle of a swirling vortex of stuff like a tornado. And if I put my hand out in the tornado, it's going to be like, whoop, off I go. But everything's kind of, but as long as I kind of stay in the center here, I'm kind of dodging all the chaos that swirls around. So with that, I'm just going to say goodbye for this Sunday. Just wanted to check in and kind of keep the rhythm going, that you can anticipate. I'll just be chatting at you every Sunday about some aspect of the pathology. Another option, put this out before, that is available to you is you can send me questions. Okay, if you have questions, you can post them to Facebook, you can send them to me, you can get them to me. I'll get you information about this too, but just a standard email to get me questions. I will put them up on a YouTube. I'll answer your questions. Oh, which reminds me, I have to do an AFCC seminar coming up because they're coming up in September. And I've got some Vita series stuff to do on YouTube. So I'm all over the place. So I'll check in with you next week about some aspect of the pathology. Essentially, what's going on right now is from my side, we have document review to put things on a proper path, but that's still not solving the issue. We need treatment. And so getting the diagnostic assessment is really where we need to be. We're going to need somebody in the local area to do that. Each party is allowed to appoint a second opinion. I would be one of those, and the other party would have one. So we'd have 3 doctors who would do the initial clinical diagnostic assessment, and one of them would continue with the treatment. That's the model. That's where we need to go to. And we'll get there in a couple of years when people want to solve things. And so lots going on, lots swirling around me. I'll check in with you next week about what's going on in your world. Right now, you as the parents are attempting to fly the plane as we're building the plane, which is a little bit challenging for you. And then a number of parents at this point need to begin thinking about systems change and policy change. We have New York Blue Ribbon Commission that's active. We have Cadence laws going through that are active. And so there's stuff up at the upper levels, but you're not, at least most of you are not organized into policy change at this point. But that will be coming as well, because there's some things that are setting up well for legislatures to come in and review forensic custody evaluations, review their licensing boards. How did the licensing board allow these forensic custody evaluations to continue for so long that are dangerous, harmful to children, lack scientific legal value, and with potentially disastrous consequences for parents and children? How did the licensing boards allow that with their citizens for 40 years? Interesting question for the legislature to ask. The other thing that all these forensic psychologists face is cross-examination. Oh my goodness, I don't think they anticipate that yet. So with that, good luck, everybody. I'm off to get a computer. So take care. Bye-bye.